So, everybody. So that guy, man, last night, man, woo-wee. You know, I couldn't really go in too much because I don't like to really talk after the president. I don't want to be vulgar or anything after he's done, you know, doing his thing. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? Shout out to Annie for shooting that video to me. I think it's Jesse Peterson. I don't know. I don't know if that's his name. I'm not really a fan of him, but I just became a fan of him now. I can tell you that much. Shout out to Annie L. So yeah, that boy last night, man, he was gold. It was one thing I wished he would have talked about that he didn't talk about, which was the URC. And I think it's important that he talks about it because a lot of black people don't know of its existence. Give me 1 second, y'all. Gotta charge these batteries. Okay. All right, man. Let's get into this. So I wanted to know how they was going to spin it. I wanted to know. I needed to know. I needed to know how the news was going to try to spin what it was that happened last night. Oh, my God. I needed to know. You know, the first thing they started to talk about again was illegal aliens. Did you see that? Did you see that? Oh, let's get into it. Let me turn on the TV. Let me find something on the TV. There we go. Let's turn on the television. Let me go in studio mode. Alright, so I can see. Alright, let's get into this,
In the workforce, and how many of them were elected in this past election?
And if you're looking at the Democratic side, they were all wearing white. White for
Unity,
100 years. Yeah, the women were wearing white. I guess 100 years, Sue, since the right to vote, 1919 to 2019. But they were easy to recognize, and they were all pumped up because when the president was talking about jobs and women, they got jobs because they won a lot of elections, too.
The president, right out of the gate, talked about unity, bringing our country together. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's victory for the United States of America. If you missed any of it, here's a montage, and we're going to continue to go through a different topic that he talked about. Watch this.
The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda or a Democrat agenda. It's the agenda of the American people. We must reject the politics of revenge, resistance, and retribution. Victory is not winning.
Mike Pence either looks at you like a concerned father or a loving mother. Watch. Hold on, let's go back. Look at him in the background. Look at his facial expressions. Mike Pence, he either looks at you like a loving mother or a concerned father. Watch.
Side, they were all wearing white. White for
Unity,
100 years. Yeah, the women were wearing white. I guess 100 years, Sue, since the right to vote, 1919 to 2019. But they were easy to recognize, and they were all pumped up because when the president was talking about jobs and women, they got jobs because they won a lot of elections, too.
The president, right out of the gate, talked about unity, bringing our country together. It's not about Democrats and Republicans. It's victory for the United States of America. If you missed any of it, here's a montage, and we're going to continue to go through a different topic that he talked about. Watch this.
The agenda I will lay out this evening is not a Republican agenda.
Look at Mike Pence's face now. This is the loving mother, like hearing you out, listening to your admiration. She's just listening to you, and she's just proud of you. Listen.
Or a Democrat agenda.
See,
It's
loving
the
mother.
agenda of the American people. We must reject the politics of revenge,
Concerned
resistance, and retribution. Victory
There
is
you
not
go. See,
winning
concerned
for
God.
our party.
Concerned father.
Victory is winning for our country. We have unleashed a revolution in American energy. I am asking you to defend our very dangerous southern border out of love and devotion to our fellow citizens. The proper wall never got built. I will get it built. The next major priority for me and for all of us should be to lower the cost of health care and prescription drugs and to protect patients with pre-existing conditions. Chairman Kim and I will meet again on February 27th and 28th in Vietnam. Our military is the most powerful on earth by far. Members of Congress, the state of our union is strong.
But that catchphrase was not said in the beginning. It was said kind of in the middle, in the first third, when he said the State of the Union is strong, because he thinks everybody was kind of expecting that. But overall, the president, I thought, was great. I thought he was, I guess, the third longest State of the Union in history. But overall, you can't imagine him more comfortable in a situation where he knows millions are watching around the country and around the world. And it was hard not to applaud on maybe 2/3 of that speech if you are an American.
Well, here's the thing, though. I think he went into that State of the Union last night, and I think he was a little apprehensive. You know, Nancy Pelosi uninvited him to this thing a couple of weeks ago, and there he was. She had a tough time applauding for a lot of the things that he said.
It was nice of her to read along, though.
She seemed a little awkward.
That's when she was reading the speech.
Did you notice, though, he walked in, and it is the custom for her to introduce him, and he just started reading.
He started speaking.
He started without, he jumped the ball, essentially. But he made it very clear what his argument for a re-election.
Because he said, that bitch don't speak for me. That's why. I'm Donald Trump. Fuck you mean? I don't need no fucking introduction. I'm the baddest motherfucking man walking on the planet right now. Look over there. See that briefcase? I can end shit. I get shit done around here. I fucking do it. I'm a go fucking getter.
Is going to be a strong economy, strong defense, and of course a secure border. And he said regarding the wall or the fence, he said, I will get it done. But he did not call for a wall, and he did not throw down an ultimatum.
He said, let me not let that bitch speak. Her dentures might fall out.
To the Democrats. They're probably not going to give him $5.7 billion. He's holding off on calling an emergency declaration. He wants to see what that conference committee will be able to do. They're going to meet a little later on today. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, he made the case why we need a super strong border. And in fact, he cited some things in the news yesterday.
He got to immigration fairly quickly. Close to the top of the speech, he talked about unity. He honored the World War II veterans. He talked about jobs, the economy. I thought that was smart because that's one of his best things that he's done over the last 2 years. Talked about women, African-American job. The unemployment is down, lower than ever. And then he talked about the investigations and legislation. If we want peace and legislation, we can't have war and investigations. He honored a few people, and then he got to immigration and the wall. Listen to this.
This is a moral issue. The lawless state of our southern border is a threat to the safety, security, and financial well-being of all America. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards. Working class American.
We watch falling apart in Venezuela, which he...
Tonight, we renew our resolve America was founded
a socialist country. Now that's something everybody's got to applaud for, right? No, not really.
Here in the United States, We are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence, and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free, and we will stay free.
Yeah.
Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Not surprising, Bernie Sanders would not be applauding when the president's talking about capitalism and not talking in a positive way about socialism, which we watched falling apart in Venezuela, which he touched on and even got everybody to cheer for when our new policy down there. But when you talk about the Green Deal, free pre-K, free college, free Medicare for all, you talk about an unsustainable, untenable series of invoices that America can't possibly pay, but is getting great traction on the left. And guys, this is when I thought he was talking a little bit about 2020 and what he was going to be saying.
It was all
Well, and did you see, we saw Kamala Harris in the crowd. We saw Kristen Gillibrand. Did you see Kristen Gillibrand rolled her eyes when he was talking about the economy, naming all the statistics? We did look to Bernie when he was talking about socialism. I looked to Nancy Pelosi. I wanted to see what her expression was going to be when he said that all of these politicians have walls around their houses,
right?
Yet they don't want to build a wall. She didn't like that.
Also, Alexandria, there's Kristen Gillibrand
rolling her eyes and kind of sighing.
She sent out a tweet later asking for $5, which some on the Republican side said,
yeah.
You know what, that's against the rules.
Using the eye roll. She was rolling her eyes when he said there are 5.3 million jobs created, 600,000 new manufacturing jobs. We're just getting started. Wages are growing, especially for blue-collar workers, African American, Hispanic Americans, Asian Americans, all reach the lowest unemployment levels ever. And she rolled her eyes.
Because that bitch don't want to hear about black folks doing good. That's why, man. The fuck is you talking about?
To be against unemployment in the United States. But then the president also, to the point that he had talked about immigration and some of the things that were happening on our southern border yesterday, he also was talking about what we have heard out of the states of New York and the Commonwealth of Virginia regarding late term or day of birth abortion. And you would think that that would be something to talk about protecting the unborn. You would think everybody in that room would be on the same page. And yet when you saw some of the wide shots, very few Democrats were standing for that. Watch this. Here's the president on late-term abortion.
Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children who can feel pain in the mother's womb.
I didn't see any Democratic women in white budge on that. No. Just stare glumly straight ahead.
Remember, they cheered when Andrew Cuomo, Democrats here in New York, when he signed the legislation, they lit up the World Trade Center in pink. Yeah. They cheered the third-term abortion.
It's amazing that we're talking about this, and this is reacting to the Virginia governor. Remember, before the latest Virginia governor controversy, there was another one, and that was the statements on radio as follow-up clarification, which, in my estimation, made things worse.
That you can kill a baby after the baby's born.
Right. What I thought also was really special and just shows great speech writing and, I think, craftsmanship is the way you look back and notify the anniversaries. The anniversary of the World War II invasion, the anniversary of landing on the moon, and the importance of childhood cancer and fighting it. Think about it. If you're a kid, you don't have an advocate necessarily representing you in Congress to push for an attack on this. But I believe he wants $500 million to start attacking it, and he gave you a great example. Here's a series on the tributes that consisted, that took place last night in his hour and 21-minute speech.
On D-Day, June 6, 1944, 15,000 young American men jumped from the sky and 60,000 more stormed in from the sea. Here with us tonight are three of those incredible heroes. Just 3 weeks ago, Deborah's parents, Gerald and Sharon, were burglarized and shot to death in their Reno, Nevada home by an illegal alien. Last year, Grace was diagnosed with brain cancer. She rallied her community and raised more than $40,000. Buzz Aldrin. Alice, please. He narrowly survived the Nazi concentration camps. Today is Judah's 81st birthday.
That was great. What a birthday. Nobody will ever forget that.
He stood
Nope.
up and said, "Thank you."
10-year-old cancer survivor Grace Eline, who the president was alluding to, will be live with us at 6:20, just about 6 minutes from right now. Meanwhile, live with us, Tom Homan, Fox News contributor, former acting director.
An ICE officer who has saved Tom. He said, "I will never abolish our heroes from ICE." He introduced an ICE officer who has saved 300 women or girls from human trafficking, and he talked a little bit about that and how many people he's locked up. The Democrats had a chance to respond after the speech. Here's Stacey Abrams, who lost the election for governor of Georgia.
Who's not anything. The bitch is nobody. She's nothing. This fat, gap-toothed, buckhead bitch ain't nothing but a fucking loser.
She was chosen to give the rebuttal. Here she is about immigration.
Compassionate treatment at the border is not the same as open borders.
That's a green screen. That's a green screen behind her. How would I know what a green screen is? Well, there's one right here behind me. I do this. This is what I do. This is what I do. That's a green screen. That's not a bunch of people behind her. That's a green screen.
President Reagan understood this. President Obama understood this. Americans understand this. And Democrats stand ready to effectively secure our ports and borders. But we must all embrace that from agriculture to healthcare to entrepreneurship, America is made stronger by the presence of immigrants, not walls.
By immigrants that are legally here. Not by illegal immigrants, you fat, buck-toothed bitch. You run around looking like the Kool-Aid man's main bitch. What the fuck?
Right, but that president went out of his way to say he wants immigration. It's a legal immigration, and yet they still continue to try to blend and confuse people with that statement.
Look, I've said 1,000 times, we're a nation of laws, and
they try to confuse you and have it seem like that bitch had people behind her agreeing with her, and ain't no fucking body was behind her besides a fucking green screen. They try to confuse you and trick you and put a podium in front of that bitch with a mic as if she's delivering some type of speech to some motherfucking body when she's in a fucking empty room with 3 other motherfuckers that's recording the dumb bitch and that's setting up that green screen prop to make sure the motherfuckers in the back are all on sync with the sound once they have them clapping.
I can't blame any of these people that want to come to the greatest country on earth, but you can't want to be a part of the greatest country on earth and not respect our laws. Right. It's not only about enforcing laws, it's about saving lives. In my 34 career, I've seen many people that have died.
Horrible quality green screen. Just horrible. Completely fucking horrible. This shit I'm working with looks more authentic than that shit. It's just ridiculous. They don't give a fuck about that bitch. They're like, Kool-Aid bitch, you up next. And then she get up there and she just say everything that's right to try to make it seem like she's on the right side. Yeah, immigrants that come here legally, they do help this nation. And some that come here legally are on welfare. What the fuck are we talking about right now? Like, what are we talking about?
Making this journey. We saw 2 children die making this journey. So the Democrats need to listen. They need to think about the victims of illegal immigration.
Right.
You said it yourself. 1 in 3 women are sexually assaulted on the way to this country. Children are molested. And we're bankrolling the very criminal organization that smuggled drugs and have killed our Border Patrol agents. It's got to stop.
And by the way, if you just want an idea, I thought the speech was excellent. Stephen Ainsley had weighed in, and you heard Tom. But 76% of the people watching the speech on CBS thought it was really good. 72% favored it. 72% favored it. Overall on immigration, ideas on immigration, and overall even on CNN, 59% approved of the speech. It was a strong night because it wasn't one note.
Why am I laughing? Well, if you know, like I know, then you know CNN lies about the numbers anyway. So you know if they had it at like 57%, it's really like 67% or 70%. That's right.
It was multiple notes. It was tribute, it was agenda, and it was a look back at what's been done. So I think it's really hard to have a negative view over what's taken place there.
I really do not think it was a political speech. I think it was him telling American people the facts of what he has accomplished, and the facts of border security and what a danger this is this country. I think most American people heard him last night. I thought he did a perfect job, and I think more people last night understand why it's so important that we secure our border.
Well, a lot of people watched, and a single person in the state of Florida. Before we ask them about the State of the Union, what makes this place so special? This is a over 55 community for retired military. So at once, thank you all for your service. All right, the task at hand here is the State of the Union. We're going to begin with you, young lady. What did you think of it?
I thought it was one of the best speeches that Trump has made. I liked when he said, peace, yes.
We can cheer.
Peace and legislation, no war and investigation. But nothing will happen unless Congress enacts these laws. So that's the important part.
Good point. Thank you. Let's come over here. How about you? I'm guessing your name is Gary based upon the name tag.
That's probably a pretty good guess. I thought the speech last night was very good. I think he made a very serious attempt to bring the country together and to bring the Congress together. And I really liked the guests that he had there and the way he interfaced with them. Very personal.
All right, Gary, thank you. Ma'am, what did you think of the president's speech?
I thought it was very good. The theme of unity is exactly what this country needs. He talked about his vision for the country and how we have to work together in order to make it all happen and make America great again.
Great. Thank you. Sir, what was your favorite part of the speech?
Good morning. I'm Robert Watts, retired Navy, and I thought the best part of his speech was he challenged Congress to do their job. He said he wanted them to do their job. He wanted them to work together, and I thought that was probably the strongest point that he had all evening.
Awesome. I'm going to go until they give me a wrap. Oh, that was the wrap? All right. That is the wrap. We're going to obviously check back in with you throughout the course of the morning. But, I mean, I've done how many of these diners? I'm the diner guy. I go out to these places all the time. This is unbelievable, guys. Back to you in New York.
It's like a party, right? I mean,
it is.
It's like a fun place to be right now.
Good place to get opinions, too. The purple state of Florida. Thank you, Todd, very much.
And Todd's going to be having more from the president aiming to highlight the best of America, but many in the media immediately slamming his speech as divisive.
I saw this as a psychotically incoherent speech with cookies and dog poop.
It was pretty strong right-wing stuff.
There were moments of whiplash.
The President of the United States at this moment in the world did not mention climate change in even a sentence is just, frankly, a disgrace.
You mean mention the shit that y'all fucked up and caused, and now y'all trying to make everyone suffer for the shit y'all caused, and y'all keep spraying the air and fucking up the water and everything else, and y'all want to keep talking about we need to pay for this shit? Talking about that bullshit?
He represented tonight is someone with absolutely no attachment to anything he says.
The Democratic response been given by Stacey Abrams, a former gubernatorial candidate in the state of Georgia. I like that one better.
Everything else he said in this speech will be overshadowed by the fact that he said there cannot be investigations.
Okay. We're not surprised. The media is not crazy about the president. Are they overreacting on this, though? Here now to weigh in is founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk. Hey, Charlie, what do you think?
Good morning. Yeah. I mean, look, they're totally overreacting. And look, they could have wrote their responses to Trump's speech before he even gave the speech. It's as if they were working on their talking points before they knew what he was going to talk about. And what really bothered me the most out of all that was Van Jones, who advocated for the president's prison reform bill, who was in the White House many times working for an admirable cause. And for him to just immediately and instantaneously come with that kind of response shows that the entire left cares far more about getting political power than actually making America a better and stronger place. And the results are indisputable, whether it be the economic numbers, and you saw the people in the audience that were able to woven into the narrative how America is a better place, a stronger place today than it was before Donald Trump became president. And look, the media, they are so focused on trying to destroy this president. And I'm happy that the president had uninterrupted time to lay out, here's what I have done, here's what I'm going to do, and here's why I'm doing it.
Charlie, entertain this for a second and play devil's advocate. Do you think it was the right time, the right speech, the right forum to bring up investigations?
Yes. Well, look, I don't mind the way he did it whatsoever. And in fact, I would have went even harder. And look, here's the thing. You have to look at it from his perspective. The president lays out all these amazing accomplishments for the betterment of the American people. Record low black unemployment, record low Latino unemployment, record low disabled unemployment, which is, I think, something the president should talk about even more. And what is he met with? He's not met with at least applause from Democrats who say they support these communities. Instead, he's met with contempt and just anger from them, and then these silly investigations going after his family, going after his personal life, and there's no accountability for Robert Mueller. So from my own personal opinion, I didn't mind it. In fact, I appreciated it. And remember what he said before that, which was reckless or senseless wars, which is something Democrats used to actually oppose. And now it seems that they want to oppose anything that Donald Trump supports, they supported ending reckless wars. Now it seems that they're neutral, if not opposed to that.
Yeah, that is the state of politics right now. There's a lot of obstruction. All right, thank you so much, Charlie. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
38 minutes after the hour, President Trump touting America's economy last night, and some Democrats walking away with a very different take.
Families' hopes are being crushed by Republican leadership that ignores real life or just doesn't understand it.
Peter Morisi says the Democrats have it all wrong, and he joins us live next. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. The hottest economy in the world. President Trump celebrating economic success at his State of the Union address.
Since the election, we have launched an unprecedented economic boom. Companies are coming back to our country. We added another 304,000 jobs last month alone, almost double the number expected. The theft of American jobs and wealth has come to an end.
And the president says this is just the beginning. So what economic successes can we expect from this administration? If I can speak, someone who can is former chief economist for the U.S. International Trade Commission, Peter Morisi. Thank you for joining us as always, sir. Look, the president has a lot of good things to tout when it comes to the economy. Some people still argue those points. You can't deny the numbers. We just had a really good January. Do you see the success continuing?
I do. I think there's some critical decisions ahead. I think the Congress has to take seriously the new NAFTA, the U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, and ratify it. It provides important protections for workers. The Democrats, for decades, have complained they would like to see, that unions have aspired to. So they should stop criticizing it and get behind it. We're going to bring the trade negotiations with China to a conclusion. I'd like to know how he's going to pay for paid family leave. I think we're going to see some taxes there to do it, like a payroll taxes we have in New York. But I'd love to see what his plans are. Prescription drug coverage, now there's an area where everybody thinks something should be done. His proposal is very consistent with some proposals I've made in the past, that is to index the prices in Europe. So I think there's a lot there to work on that could make life better for Americans.
Yeah, you do. It is interesting when you go to other countries and you see how much cheaper the same drug costs than it costs in the country that actually developed the drug, and it's quite annoying. When you talk about these trade deals, China, I think, is the crown jewel, and it's one that they're still working on, and they're making some progress, it does appear. But how do you negotiate with a country that thrives because they cheat and steal? How do you make a deal there?
Well, that's a real problem. I mean, there are cultural differences. One of the problems with a socialist economy or an economy with a very heavy-handed government is there's a premium on corruption. It's easy to get ahead by bribing a government official or by cheating than it is by developing a better mousetrap. And so we have a basic problem with China of cultural change. My feeling is we could put into place mechanisms that require balanced trade, which is one of the negotiating points. You know, we want them to reduce the trade deficit by $250 billion. Fine. Why don't we put in a mechanism that requires that? I think there are ways of getting this done. We have to see what Lighthizer brings back. I've known him for 20, 30 years. He's a very talented man. He understands the nature of the problem. Negotiations are always veiled. They have to be. So let's see what he brings back.
Now, as we know, Democrat Stacey Abrams had some tough words for the president in her rebuttal last night. Let's take a listen and then get your reaction.
People are striving.
Let the Kool-Aid bitch speak.
Striving for a middle class where salary truly equals economic
While the green screen people in the background all just stand there.
security. But instead, families' hopes are being crushed by Republican leadership that ignores real life or just doesn't understand it. The Republican tax bill rigged the system against working people.
What do you say?
Well, working people have more money in their pockets now than before the Republican tax bill. It's that simple. Their take-home pay went up, and they won't have to give it back when they file their income tax returns. Their taxes are lower. Those are hard numbers. That's like saying if you drop an apple, it goes up, Stacey Abrams. With regard to the people that she, advocates for, minorities, the handicapped, and so forth, the Democrats advocate for. Things are improving. That was not true during the Obama years. An opportunity economy, a good neighbor, a good job is the best social program.
Yeah. We know their plan is to tax the evil, successful people into oblivion. That's what they're looking to do in 2020.
The tippy
Peter?
top.
Yeah, the tippy top. Peter, thank you so much. We appreciate your expertise as always.
Take care.
All right.
It is 46 minutes after the hour. President Trump doubling down on the need for a border wall while calling out the hypocrisy of the left.
Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates and guards.
Texas Congressman Chip Roy and National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd were both there, and they join us live with their top takeaways. That's coming up next.
Walls work and walls save lives. So let's work together, compromise, and reach a deal that will truly make America safe.
President Trump highlighting the crisis at the border in his State of the Union speech.
Yeah, Texas Congressman Chip Roy brought National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd as his guest to the address, and they join us now. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on. The president really stuck it to the Democrats last night. He said, you guys have voted for barriers in the past. You know they work. Cut the nonsense. What did you guys make of it?
Well, I was delighted to have Brandon with me, such a great representative of the wonderful men and women who protect our border every day. The president was 100% correct in focusing on the need to secure our border. I spent 2 days down in the Rio Grande Valley sector last week with my friend Dan Crenshaw, and it's appalling what we see. We've got a daily caravan. We have 400,000 people who are coming across our border this year. We're only going to apprehend about 200,000 of them because we don't have the resources given to Border Patrol that they need. And of the 200,000 that are apprehended, 90% are captured and released. The cartels have operational control of our border. They're using people as human shields to move narcotics. They're using these little girls to get sold into the sex trade. And this is what Democrats are defending in the false name of compassion. The president was 100% right to talk about fences. They work. And that we need to get busy securing our border. And I hope the president continues to hold that line.
Brandon, in her rebuttal, Stacey Abrams mentioned the administration putting people in cages, yet we know this to be true of the Obama administration as well, because some of those photos that came out a couple months ago were, in fact, from the Obama administration. Where is this message getting lost in translation?
It's getting lost in translation when we're dealing with politics. If we were honest, we would say that what happened under the Obama administration when we were putting people the unaccompanied minors in these detention facilities, it was 100 times worse than what it is today. We've been given a lot more resources today than what we had under the Obama administration. Our agents themselves were bringing in diapers, they were bringing in formula, they were bringing in toys. The administration just wasn't providing what we needed to take care of these children. And so when you look at that, if we're honest with ourselves, we're going to say that right now we're in a better situation than what we were under the Obama administration, unless, of course, we're going to play politics, and that's what's happening.
You know, the president not only pointed out hypocrisy of Democrats voting for barriers in the past, but also of politicians in general living far away from the problems that are created by this situation. Listen to this.
No issue better illustrates the divide between America's working class and America's political class than illegal immigration. Wealthy politicians and donors push for open borders while living their lives behind walls and gates.
Look at Nancy's face.
And guards.
What do you think of that line?
Well, I got to say, I love that line. I think nothing better illustrates the hypocrisy of the left, and they live in their ivory towers, loving to pat themselves on the back for open borders. When those open borders are making it toward the 10-year-old and 11-year-old little girl that I saw on Friday who had just come across the border and come all the way from Honduras, endangering their lives, and they might get sold into the sex trade, or the 54 people that were in a stash house in Houston because they're now going to have to pay their debts back to the cartels, who are going to make about $130 million this year on the backs of human trafficking. It's unconscionable, and these Democrats like to pat themselves on the back for being compassionate, and it's wrong. The president is the one that's trying to do what's right, both for the United States and for the people and the migrants who seek to come here.
Well, I love that he painted a picture for the American public when he says that these wealthy congressmen are living behind these walls and gates themselves. He painted that picture for the American public to see. And again, this was going out to everybody. This wasn't just a small segment of people on one network. This was to everybody, and he was able to make that case to the vast majority. And if you look at the ratings of the State of the Union from last night, across the board, it was received very well because he was able to make the case to everybody.
And fences work. 94% of the traffic in the Rio Grande Valley is...
Why is it all the bitches that were shaking their head no and had an attitude wasn't even wearing white?
Coming through the western sector where we have fewer fences and fewer physical barriers. Where we do have fences in the eastern side, less traffic.
They go up and the numbers drop by around 90%. Gentlemen, you got to see a great show last night. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. It's on.
All right. 55 minutes after the hour, still ahead. We want to know your thoughts on the president's speech.
Your comments are pouring in, and we will read some next.
Fresh, smart perspective from new shows streaming daily. Opinion done right at your fingertips on Fox Nation. Start your free trial today.
Okay, so we asked if you're more hopeful now for a break in government gridlock after hearing President Trump's State of the Union address, and you've been chiming in all morning. One user on Instagram says, hesitant that Democrats will be cooperative.
Diane writes, sadly, I don't see anything from the left changing, but I was inspired to keep hope and faith. God bless America and our president. Kelly says, love this State of the Union speech, but the divide is still very apparent between Democrats and Republicans. I have great hope that we can heal and move forward. Time will tell. We certainly are very polarized in this country right now.
Yes, absolutely. But, you know, it was a good speech last night. A lot of people really proud of the president and liking what he had to say.
Yeah.
So
half the crowd anyway.
Half the crowd. We'll see what the rest has to say this morning. Have a good day.
So the president killed that shit, man.
With Wix, you can create a professional website that looks stunning. Just go to Wix.com. The best part is, you can update it and keep it fresh whenever you want. I like changing up the back.
And this is a Fox News Alert. Welcome to Hannity from Washington, D.C. tonight. Now, we have on the show Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, Eric, Laura Trump, so many others. Well, tonight we heard from the President of the United States what was one of the most inspiring challenges to the country, and a list of success a lot like President Trump, as did Schumer, as did many of the Democrats. Now they oppose that which they supported just a couple of years ago. You may remember this.
we do have to have control of our borders. You've got to say to the undocumented workers, you have to say, look, you've broken the law. You didn't come here the way you were supposed to. So this is not going to be a free ride. It's not going to be some instant amnesty. What's going to happen is you are going to pay a significant fine. You are going to learn English. You are going to go to the back of the line so that you don't get ahead of somebody who was in Mexico City applying legally.
So President Obama, they sound alike. So what's changed for the Democrats? President Trump is in office. Oh, now they just oppose him with every fiber of their being. I thought they cared about dreamers and DACA and furloughed
They don't
employees.
care about shit.
Hating Trump comes before protecting the security and the safety of the American people. It comes before spurring economic growth, finding solutions for the dreamers they talk so much about. It was offered to them. The results are sad. President Trump put it perfectly when he tweeted, quote, Democrats are becoming the party of late-term abortion, high taxes, open borders, and crime. But tonight, the president is vowing to fight back to protect the lives of those who are the most vulnerable. A powerful moment. Let's take a look.
Lawmakers in New York cheered with delight upon the passage of legislation that would allow a baby to be ripped from the mother's womb moments from birth. These are living, feeling, beautiful babies who will never get the chance to share their love and their dreams with the world. And then we had the case of the governor of Virginia, where he stated he would execute a baby after birth. To defend the dignity of every person, I am asking Congress to pass legislation to prohibit the late-term abortion of children.
Justice Kavanaugh was just looking too like, and when that shit come across my desk, we passing it.
Who can feel pain in a mother's womb.
Powerful moment. And the president also made it perfectly clear, America will never become, now think about this, even Nancy and Chuck had to stand up. Not sure that Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez liked it. We will never become a socialist country. Watch this.
Here in the United States, we are alarmed by the new calls to adopt socialism in our country. America was founded on liberty and independence and not government coercion, domination, and control. We are born free and we will stay free. Tonight, we renew our resolve that America will never be a socialist country.
Democrats, what were they offering? Oh, they want a wealth tax, and then they want more death taxes, and maybe a 70% income tax, maybe a 90% one. Oh, that'll bring us right back to what Obama gave us, 13 million more Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty, the accumulation of more debt than every other president before him combined. For them, it appears just about political quest for power, revenge, government control of energy and healthcare and every aspect of your life, so they stay in power. But for President Trump, this is much more than politics. It's about preserving fundamental core principles and keeping the promises he made to protect this country, an oath that he gave, bettering the lives of all Americans, getting government off our backs, unleashing American greatness for decades and centuries to come, using the principles of freedom and liberty and capitalism. All right, joining us now for reaction, Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, great to see you. Thank you for being with us.
Great to see you, Sean.
You just run through the checklist. So many, what I found amazing on the economy, on energy, on foreign policy, promises made, promises kept, and where do conservative principles work?
Well, I thought it was a very strong speech. The president started off with just laying out the incredible successes we've seen in the past 2 years, the economic successes, the lowest unemployment in half a century, the lowest African-American Hispanic unemployment ever recorded, the lowest Asian American unemployment ever recorded, the lowest unemployment for people with disabilities. I mean, it's a staggering record of results. He laid out the record on national security, rebuilding our military, defeating our enemies, defeating ISIS.
Have been returned. The president has given nothing, and we're talking about the denuclearization of the entire Korean Peninsula. Sounds pretty promising to me and hopeful.
Well, to those people who are criticizing the president, how well did you do with Rocket Man? So, yeah, I'm very hopeful that one meeting, this new meeting, will lead to a breakthrough.
All right. Overall
question is, why is he meeting with Trump and he didn't meet with anybody else?
Interesting. Maybe he believes that he's serious.
Tell you what, I think he's scared.
Go on.
Well, okay, if you want to get this guy's attention, he's not like Iran. Iran's on a religious mission. You know, if they ever get nukes, they'll use them. This guy is trying to have an insurance policy to keep the mafia state going. But if Trump gives him an alternative between life without nuclear weapons that is safe and secure, he'll take it if the other alternative is to lose your life.
The thing that stood out the most, more than anything, that I'm so happy
Why do you
about.
think the Taliban are at the table?
It's a great point.
I know.
I think you're. Tell us why.
Well, I've been going there.
You ask your own questions.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I like interviewing me. I've been there 52 times. Why are they talking with us now? Because when the kick their ass. We've been killing these guys by the thousands. We've been breaking their back. And Pakistan, for the very first time in a decade, is beginning to help us on their side of the border because Trump has really unleashed the military. They're at the table now because of the change in the rules of engagement after Obama left, Trump came in, and they're at the table. And we may be able to win this in this war if Pakistan will help us. And I predict that the Prime Minister of Pakistan and President Trump will get along very well.
Al-Qaeda, Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, North Korea, China were making progress.
Why has the caliphate been destroyed in about 18 months?
You ask another great question.
Because he unleashed the military.
Yes, he did.
See, Obama made it impossible to win. Trump has made it possible to win, and we're winning.
I believe you hit on something profound. We'll stay on national security. That is, if they believe you that you will do it, that is all
Why are
the
the Europeans now cracking down on the Iranians? Because Trump gave them a choice. You can help me rein in this Iranian regime, or you will not have access to our economy. Guess what? They picked our economy over the Ayatollah.
So add all of this foreign policy success. And I know you talk to the president a lot.
Safer.
You disagree with him at times, but you make your case. You told me that you have persuaded him on issues.
Unlike Obama, he will adjust his policies where it makes sense. He has unleashed the military on our enemies. It's paying dividends. He has gotten out of a bad deal, and I think he would replace it with a better deal. We're more respected. We're safer today than we were 2 years ago, and it's because of this president.
Let me go to the economy. So impressive. In 2016, for me, the election was about the forgotten men and women. I actually bought the original painting of this guy, John McNaughton.
Right.
Forgotten men and women in this country. Though the 13 million extra Americans on food stamps, 8 million more in poverty, worst recovery since the 40s, lowest homeownership rate 51 years, more debt than 43 presidents combined, lowest labor participation rate. 5.3 million new jobs since he's elected.
So how did all that happen, Sean?
Because he's the man.
72.
He is the man with the plan.
2% agreeing. They approve of the president's ideas on immigration for safety, security, life, and death. Here with reaction. House Minority Whip, Congressman Steve Scalise. House Freedom Caucus Chairman Mark Meadows, who dethroned in the Freedom Caucus Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Guys, good to see you all. Let's start with you. Overall thoughts. I think what made it powerful, I was saying this to Eric and Laura, the success.
Yeah.
The jobs, the turnaround.
No, it's amazing. Been amazing 2 years. Regulations cut, taxes cut, economy growing at unprecedented rate. Gorsuch, Kavanaugh on the court, out of the Iran deal, embassy in Jerusalem, hostages home from North Korea. It's an amazing record.
He can take my job over because I do that.
The best part of the speech, in my judgment, was when you had the President of the United States talk about the sanctity of human life. And in a way that was so powerful in light of what's happened in the last couple of weeks with some of these New York and Virginia. I thought that was all kinds of powerful moments, but that was the key moment. When have you ever seen a president of the United States stand up and defend the sanctity and respect for life like this president did?
You know, I've known him for way over 2 decades. And I know because he lived in New York, donated to Democrats and Republicans, there was doubt among my friends, conservatives. And I remember saying, he will keep his promises. He means what he says.
Will do what he says.
We see what judges, but you're right, on the pro-life issue.
Well, it wasn't just the life issue.
It's not life. This is against infanticide issue.
Really, I mean, this is against, he was standing up against murder is what he was standing up for tonight. But it was more than that. He was bold. Greatest State of the Union address I've ever witnessed. I can tell you that not only was he bold, but he reminded us of how great we are as a nation.
Very true.
He reminded us starting with the greatest generation and then bringing it forward to what we can celebrate. Now, the interesting thing is the cheer he got when he says we're not going to be a socialist country. Who would have thought that we would have ever had to have said that in the House chamber in the United States of America? That's how far the left has come.
But the only way, when he says, I'm asking you to choose greatness. And what has made us great? Freedom, liberty, capitalism, free markets, limited government. The exact opposite. What failed us the last 8 years, Congressman.
Yeah, Sean, it was a great contrast for what we saw under Barack Obama, where you literally had no jobs being created. Millions of people had given up looking for work. People thought that we could never be that great nation again. And then there he has in the gallery 3 men who stormed the beaches of Normandy.
Yeah.
And talk about an amazing story. So one of these guys who storms the beaches of Normandy, a year later liberates Dachau, and then they're sitting right down the aisle from him is somebody who was in one of those concentration camps at Dachau that was liberated by that very soldier. What a great nation this is. These are the men who made our nation great, the women that made our nation great. The president highlighted those stories. And like Jim said, when he talks about the sanctity of life, Ann Wagner just filed a bill today to prohibit those kind of, it's basically when somebody is born alive, whether it was a botched abortion or whatever it is, everybody, I think, just about everybody agrees, you should not allow that kind of procedure to happen. The president talked about greatness, and he challenged us to be that great nation again.
So then here's the next logical question. Okay, we've watched the Democrats. They wouldn't sit with the president, and he offered everything they want on immigration. Everything they say they want. They cared more about hating him than Dreamers, than DACA.
Yeah.
So after this speech, they need a reevaluation as a party?
Well, I mean, think what they just that issue. Blumenauer said that we need to abolish ICE. Their candidate for president said borderless hemisphere. Pelosi said walls are immoral. And their response, the person who gave the response to the State of the Union, Stacey Abrams, 3 weeks ago said non-citizens should be able to vote. So they've taken the most radical positions you could take, and yet the president still said, let's come together. Let's focus on doing what's best for the country. And that was the optimism Mark and Steve talked about, the greatness of this country.
You see that happening? Because I don't.
Well, listen, I was real encouraged over the last couple of days talking to some of our Democrat colleagues that they were going to compromise. But tonight they had super glue in their seats. I mean, it's just at the point they wouldn't stand up.
You're on your game.
Think about this, Sean. The World War II veteran in his 90s got up more times to applaud than a lot of those Democrats when he was talking about the greatness of this country and rejecting socialism. That's how far to the left they moved. Our country wants national security. They want border security. The polling you just showed shows it. That's why we're in this fight. Okay. We got to get this done.
Will the Republicans in the Senate hold the line when he goes on his own?
He's going to have to. They will. I'm convinced they will. Listen, no one wants to do a national emergency, but we've got to stand with this president. Yep. There's not enough votes to override a veto, so they better go ahead.
He's the commander-in-chief.
He is.
If he has a job, look, 4,000 homicides, drugs, cartels, fentanyl, 90% of the heroin, human trafficking, slavery into prostitution. We got to.
Long story short, people, we let them ramble, so let me give my take on everything. The world is saying that Donald Trump is, in fact, a man of his word. The world is saying it. The world around is saying it. And it's making other people look at it and see it and say, this guy's not as bad as they keep trying to make him out to be. Because he's not. You don't have to agree with everything that he says. But at what point is it okay? At what point is it okay to say, I don't agree with him. I don't agree with anything he says, so because of it, anyone else who agrees with him, I'm going to hate. Are you following me now? At what point is it okay for us to hate each other because of who we want to be the president of the United States of America? All the shit that they said this man was going to do wrong, come to find out, he's doing everything fucking right. In all actuality, he's doing a better job than anyone else has ever done sitting in his chair in the 20th, 21st century. I keep telling you, we are at a crossroads where we have the opportunity right now, while we have a real president in office trying to get shit done. Got to get behind him. We got to get the word out there. I was just excited to be here today. I wanted to just basically show you what the Dems had to say, and it was basically nothing. CNN, their rhetoric doesn't change from any other day, so it doesn't even fucking matter at all, period. Van Jones is a piece of shit sellout. In order for him to keep his job where he is as they house nigga, he's got to go at Donald Trump. He's got to go at Donald Trump. And if he doesn't, then he'll lose his fucking job. It's just that simple, people. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. He sat there and he said that how he saw how concerned the president was, and he saw how honest he was in his approach, but yet he sat there and he said the most fucked up shit about him when he talked about illegal immigration. We're talking about people who are breaking the law. We're not talking about people who are good citizens and they need help. We're talking about people who are breaking the law. I knew that the spin was going to be on immigration because it would be nothing else that they could talk about. Nothing else that they can talk about. And guess what? That shit with them talking about illegal immigrants is not going to help their base whatsoever because everyone in this country is tired of it. Stay healthy, stay safe, stay American. And remember, fuck the other side, bitch. We don't care.
You know I'm big on fashion. Check out srgfashion.com for the best suits you can get.